Okay, Dr. Sulaiman. Can you hear me, Dr. Sulaiman? Dr. Sulaiman, can you hear me? Unmute. Oh.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me also?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. You can continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are now starting this program. This webinar actually is we are going to talk about Python 3, which is another version of Python. There is Python 2 that has been used throughout the last decades, and it has been discontinued on January 1st this year. So if you are familiar with Python 2, you can easily switch to Python 3, although some of the syntax have changed and the efficiency has improved, and it is moving towards, the object-oriented programming, which we will explain in a jiff. So today we are going to look at what is Python. We will also guide you through the installation and also the syntax of Python 3, functions, control flow, list, loops, and classes. We will also look at modules, which are another Python packages that can be incorporated to your code to actually make it better. So what is Python? I just grabbed this from the websites, the Python Foundation. They define Python as an interpreted high-level general-purpose programming language. When they said high-level and general-purpose, it means it can be used in almost every kind of programming aspect. If you can get the interpreter on the system, whether it is a computer, a microchip, or whatever, then you can run it. Python was created in 1991 by this guy. I can't even know if I can pronounce the name correctly, Guido Barroso. So the main thing that made him design Python was to emphasize on code readability. Actually, in the 90s,
please, ladies and gentlemen, please, ladies and
the thing is, you open the door because
please, ladies and gentlemen, I will want all of you to mute your computers.
So the door, everything will be good.
Please, I want all of you to mute your computers. Thank you very much. Please continue, Dr. Suleiman.
Yes. The emphasis is on code readability. What happens in the 90s, there are other programming languages like the C, the C++, and all other languages, Fortran and what have you. They are very hard to read. When the code is written, if you are not the one who wrote the code, when you look at it, it is very difficult to understand. So he decided to make Python a code that if you look at the code, even if you are not a programmer, you can easily understand what it is doing. So it achieves this by using what is called white spaces. They remove the redundant, braces, the brackets. If you look at C code, you will see a lot of brackets that make it difficult to understand. But in Python, there are no brackets, curly brackets, which you will see when we start writing the code. The language constructs an object-oriented approach aimed to help programmers write clear, logical code, which is one of the key aspects that make people, like Python, because if you can write a clear code that anyone can, understand, then you have achieved something in programming. So why should I learn Python? It has so many applications, from web development to game development, machine learning and artificial intelligence, data science, data visualization, desktop GUI. All of these, like in my field, the CAD application, second to the last, we use Python a lot because some of you that are engineers here that use maybe the finite element software Abacus. Abacus is actually written in Python. So if you know Python, you can go behind Abacus and tweak it to your own, problem. You can make it, you can customize it to suit your need. Another software that uses Python in the CAD application is the FreeCAD. Is another application. It is also written entirely on Python, so you can customize it and do whatever you want to do with the software. In machine learning and artificial intelligence, almost everything you do is based on, majority of it is based on Python. The popular machine learning and artificial intelligence module, which is the TensorFlow, is also written in Python. Similarly, in data science and data visualization, there are a lot of packages that were already written in Python. So you can just take it and apply it to your research work or your business or whatever you have in mind. So before we dive in, we would like to look at this programming tips. So the programming tips actually is something that even if you are not writing in Python, any other program, you need to understand this concept because it will make your programming life easier. The first thing you can do is actually know what you are going to put into the program. The first one we said GIGO, which is an acronym for garbage in is always equals to garbage out. Whatever you put in it, no matter how good the program is, the output will always be garbage because you input garbage. So the second thing is what we call dry. You will have a programmer saying, okay, let me dry some code, okay? What means is you check the program to see if there is anywhere you duplicate things, something that is similar, you don't want to do it multiple times. It's like you are checking your code, you see that after every 10 lines, you have to define the same variable. So why should I define the variable in all of the subroutines? Then I can make it maybe a global variable, so it will be called by all of the subroutines. So that is what we mean by dry your code. When we start writing the codes, you will see examples of how we dry a code. And the last thing, which is don't reinvent the wheel. Actually, when someone says don't reinvent the wheel, it means that you don't need to design a solution from nothing when a solution already exists and could be what you are looking for. You could just take the concept of a wheel and tweak it to fit your needs. That is why we said just reuse it or just improve it. If you look at the picture here, you can see that this is like the caveman wheel when they made it, and then it keeps changing up to this, the current one we have, the tires here. So they keep improving it, but nobody decided to say, okay, let me start from scratch and make a square wheel because the best one is already there. You can only improve on it because if you decided to do another wheel, it cannot be any other shape apart from the circular one. So if you are writing a code, if someone has already did something about it, it's better for you to get that module and import it to your code, and then you start improving on it and take it to your need. So there is no need to start from scratch because let's face it, programs are designed to make life easier, and programmers tend to take the lazy way. It's a joke among programmers that we take always the lazy way. The lazy way is that you find the simplest thing and make it work. The simpler, the better. So we are going to look at the installation. If you haven't got Python on your computer, you should head to this address, which is python.org/downloads. And you can, depending on the computer you log in, like when I take this screenshot, I was on a Windows computer, so it is showing Windows here. So you can you will download for your system. Like right now, I am on a Mac. If I am going to go to Python.org. Yeah, you see now it's showing for Mac OS, so you can actually download it for your system. When you download, installation is easy. But before you download, I would like to point out something that maybe your computer already has Python on it, because most of the softwares we use have Python. So how do we know if our system has already a Python installed? If you are on a Windows system, you should open the command prompt. If you're on a Mac like I am, you can just go to from Spotlight, you can just type terminal. The terminal will open. Yes, something like this. So you need to just type Python -- version and hit enter. If Python is installed, you will see this. It will write the Python and the version. Like right now, my system is having 3.8.5. If you get any error, it means Python is not installed on your computer, then you need to download. So after downloading this, the next thing to do is you open the installer. This is on Windows. You click on install now. Okay, hold on. I see some questions from on the chat.
Please, the questions will come. Oh,
okay, it's your message. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, yes.
Okay, when you click on install now, you should make sure you select this add Python 3.8 to path. This is very important because this is what tells the computer where the Python is. So you can call it from any other program. If you didn't select this, you may run into some troubles. Okay. So when the installer finished, you click close. If you open your recently added the start button on Windows, you will see these three things have been added, or four, I think. The Python 3.8 module docs, which are the documentation. This is the ADLE Python. This is an IDE, which we'll explain later. And this is Python 3.8 manuals, which is the manual of how to use it. So if you open the idle Python, it will open this thing that is showing in white background, this window. This is a shell. A shell is just like a command prompt that you can enter inputs directly to the Python interpreter. Similarly, if you open the other black one, is still the same thing, the same purpose, but there is a little difference, but at this level, you will not understand why there is the difference. So actually, to run a Python code, you can do it in Notepad, you can do it in any other text editor. By a text editor, I don't mean something like Word, because word processors like Word, they add other things behind, like the formatting, like the bold, italics, they all add that in the code, so you cannot use it. But if you use Notepad, text edit, if you are on MacBook or Linux, then you can write the code on those ones. But between programmers, there has been some choice, or actually it's a matter of choice. Which one do I want to do? Which one I'm comfortable with? So we have the IDE versus code editors, So the IDE is an acronym standing for Integrated Development Environment. IDEs are full-fledged environment which provide all the essential tools needed for software development. It just doesn't handle the code. For example, you can write, edit, syntax highlighting, auto-completion, it can even check your code before you actually run the code for errors. But on the other hand, we have the code editors. These guys on this one, they are light, light in the sense that they don't consume space. They only take very small amount of megabytes on your computer, but they don't have the full capability of these guys here. Among the popular ones here, we have the Visual Studio Code, which is developed by Microsoft, and we have Atom, which is developed by GitHub, which also recently been purchased by Microsoft, and Sublime, which is only available on Mac and Emacs and Notepad++. These are all, code editors. You can choose whichever you want, and you can write your code there. In this side, this IDLE or idle is the IDE developed by the Python Foundation themselves. It is very powerful and light. It is very easy to use. Actually, when you download Python here and install, it already came with the idle IDE. It is built in with the Python because it is developed by the same authors. The guys that made Python, they are the ones who made the idle. So you can, when you install one, you install all the two together. Another popular one is the Spider. Spider is actually developed for scientific computations. If you are into, plotting charts, taking integrals, all those mathematical things, Spider will be right for you. Visual Studio, you can also do everything that you can do in Spider in all of this, but it's just a matter of choice. When you become very versatile with Python programming, you can choose between this one. But personally, I may recommend you use PyCharm because it is a bit lightweight and it is very powerful. It has a paid version and a free version. The free version is already okay to do all of your codings. So with this, there are some honorable mentions. I know the data scientists, here are thinking, wow, this guy didn't even mention Jupyter and Anaconda. Okay, so here we are. So Jupyter is a web-based interactive development environment. It is well known in the data science community for analyzing, sharing, and presenting information. So Jupyter actually runs in your browser. If you are using Chrome, it will be in your Chrome. If you are using, I don't know, Safari or Mozilla, it can run in any browser. So it is a web-based thing. Actually, one of the importance of Jupyter is I can write my code here because it is web-based. Then I can run it on a computer at another country. Maybe in the US, they have a supercomputer that will run a very complex algorithm I have written, and my computer here in my room or in my lab doesn't have the capacity. So I can use Jupyter to log into another computer at a very far place that has more power than my laptop to run the code, and I will see the results in real time. That is one of the powerful things about Jupyter. That is why it is very appreciated in the data science community. Well, like I told you, you should not reinvent the wheel. Like if somebody has already created something, you just need to use it. So here, that is where Anaconda comes in. Anaconda is a free and open source distribution of Python and R programming languages for scientific computing. The aim is to simplify package management because I may need a package from somewhere. Somebody has developed this package and I want to install it. To search the package, it will be very difficult, to run down through the internet all by yourself. But within Anaconda, you can search for a package, look at it and see what it does and easily install it on your computer. Another thing is the online version of IDEs that you can run. There are many actually, you can't even count the numbers, but this is one of the best I think I have used, and it is very lightweight. I usually mention lightweight because I know we are all from Africa here, so some will have problem with the network, some will have no problem with the powerful computers. So if you want to do something lightweight, you can go to this Programmers. I'll just open this website quickly to show you how it looks like. Yeah, it seems there is something going on. Okay. Actually, I think this site is now blocked in China, so you may have to find your way around it. Okay, but it's a very nice site to actually write your code online and view the results online. So next, we are still on this issue. One thing about Anaconda is when you want to, you can download and install it from this link. But Anaconda, even on their website, they mention that it is very huge. Like downloading it will be around, I think, 500 MB. Then when you install it, it will take like a minimum of 3 gigabytes. When I installed it on my desktop computer, the size on this was around 5 gigabytes. So you have to know if you want to use Anaconda distribution, if your computer can handle this. If your computer cannot handle this, then you should go for the other option, which is Miniconda. Miniconda is a mini version of Anaconda, because Anaconda is like you are buying the whole supermarket. All the packages will be downloaded onto your computer. But Miniconda is like maybe you take a cart and put whatever you want. Like you want to shopping, you just pick what you want and install. So you will be able to install, very little packages so that you have control over what you install. But if you don't know how to install packages and you are new to programming, then I think you just install the Anaconda complete, because you will be having problems of this file missing, and you don't know how to download it. But if you know your way around and how to download those things, then you can go for Miniconda. If you have any problem with the installation, I have included the helpline here, so you can actually go and look at the help. Another thing is when you run your Anaconda, I have actually installed it here, so let me just show you. You will see this is the kind of packages. You see Jupyter Notebook is there, Jupyter Live is there, many other things are here. So you can just, if it is already installed, this will be launched. If it is not installed, it will be showing you install. So you can install it directly. When you look at all the packages here, these are the packages I have installed. You see almost 325 packages. That is on my desktop computer. But yeah. So with this, if you have installed any of the above mentioned software packages for running Python, I think we are ready to go. Quickly, I would like to know if there is in the audience, if some people are ready to, are coding along. Are you guys coding along so that I know how to proceed from here? If you are just looking at the code, no one is writing the code himself, for example, then we'll know how to proceed. So, for example, I will now run the idle. This is idle, I have it on my computer. So if I run it, you see, yeah, it shows this. This is how it counts. Actually, as you see these 3 arrows, it has already started running Python. So I can start writing my code here. Can you see these? What I am writing here?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Should I increase the font size, or it is okay?
I think I can see it myself.
Okay, then it's okay. So
I cannot see myself.
Okay. And you can write your code here. Let's say 10 divided by 3, it will just, the problem with this interactive Python shell is you have to write one line of code at a time. You understand what I mean? I will only write like maybe 20 times 3, only one line. You cannot write a lot of code that you can run. To do that, you have to go to File, New File. Then it will open an empty document here. I will put these guys side by side so you can be able to see. So this is the new file I have created on the right side. I can now write some code, okay? I can say, let's say, let's do something, let's say just print hello user. So after writing this, I need to save the file, Control S or Command S. Okay, we give the name. Let's call this hello.py. That is the extension for Python files. We save it. So now, if we want to run this file, all we have to do is go to run module. The shortcut is F5. Not F and 5, but the F5 key at the top row, So when I run this, you will see it created like a section restart. Now it is running this file, hello.py, and it prints what I wrote here, which is hello user. Remember, we told you that Python is user, readability is the key to Python. Even though you don't know how to write Python code, when you see this one says print hello user, you definitely know it is going to write it somewhere, the content inside here. So that is hello user has been outputted to the screen. That is how the computer talks to us. So now going back to our slides, the next section we are going to talk about is syntax. But in this syntax, what we are going to do is the first thing, and the first thing is the comments. Why will I start with comments? Actually, there is a saying, a good programmer writes a code that the computer understands, but a better programmer writes a code that humans understand. Like if you write a code and I look at the code, I should be able to understand what the program does without actually running the program. That is the target of readability in Python. So how do we achieve that? One of the key points is to use comments. If you look at the right-hand side of this one, I wrote, this is the first comment in this tutorial. The next line is says, comment on a single line. So a comment is written in Python. When you start any line with a hash or pound sign, then the computer knows this line should not be executed. It is there just to give information to whoever is reading this. So
Hello, please mute your computer. Hello, please kindly mute your computers.
It has been muted. Let's continue.
Thank you very much.
In this one, you can see user John Doe comment after code. So this comment, you can actually, after writing some useful code, you can start writing the comment after code on the right-hand side. So anything you write after the hash or pound sign will not be actually interpreted and then outputted to the screen. So let's go back to our idle. So in this, before I write, let me bring this down so you can see. I can start writing comment here. I can say, this tutorial is organized by OAAD. So this is how you just write a comment. Like this print hello user, I can go to the end and start writing comment that describe what is happening in the line. You can say the user is welcomed by a hello message. So now you see I have written all this. The IDE has converted into red to show that it is a comment. So now if I run it again, it will still output the same thing because all this thing in red will not be rendered here. That is the advantage of using comments to define your code clearly. Going back to our slides, I have already used the print function for you to see, but what is it? What is a print function? It is used to output text, numbers, or other printable information to the console. It takes one or more arguments and will output each of the arguments to the console separated by a space. If no arguments are provided, the print function will output a blank line. So let's say you want to print something that you want to give some lines in between. Then you can use the blank print function there to input the line. Although there are better ways of creating a line break than using the print function, but it can be used as such. So I'm going to open the IDEs I have already told you we can use in this in this lesson. So I'm going to now open Spider. But to do that, I want to open the Anaconda for you guys so that we have an idea of how it is. Hold on. So this is the interface. You can see I've already got Jupyter Lab and Jupyter installed, but now the Orange is not installed. I can install it later, RStudio, all other things. So I will quickly launch Spider now. You can see it's already written here, Scientific Python Development Environment, Powerful Python IDE with advanced editing and interactive testing. For the next Python webinar, actually we will be going a lot in Spider. I think it is a preferred choice for the tutor. So when you open it like this, it actually comes like this. The screen is a bit dark. Can you all see what is written?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay. The screen is divided into three. This is where you write the code here on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it is divided into two. The top side is for where you can have your plots. You can see your files, and you can see your variables. Well, in the bottom part, it is the interactive menu where you have the input and output directly, like the one we use in the idle. So here, if I also write the same thing, 2 plus 3, it will give me an out array that says the answer is 5. Okay, so that is one thing about this. So I can write the code here on the right-hand side. We can say print hello world. Okay, I have right. Then I can click this green button to run the program. Usually we save the file. So when I run it, you can see on the right-hand side, it actually printed the hello world. That is how we run program in Spider. So I'm going to quickly quit Spider, and you can also do it in VS Code, which I quickly let's print the same thing on VS Code. So someone who is using VS Code can actually do it. In VS Code, actually you have to install the Python extension. You can go to this tab here. You search for Python. It will be, you will see it is manufactured by Microsoft. So you just click install. Like mine is already installed, so I don't need it. So you can go to file, create a new file. You call it anything. You can call it anything. And similarly, you just let me just do it so that people. Okay, so I will save this file. I will call it hello2.py. Okay, I will just save it. Quickly, I write the same thing. I think it's too tiny for you guys to see, but it's the same thing. So if I save the file, I click this, there is a green play button here. If you click it, it will run the Python file. Usually the Python is still loading, the extension is still loading. So it will take time. Yeah, you can see it's running. Okay, I wrote hello, hello. That is why you can see the output is down here. So whichever thing you used, whether it is Visual Studio Code or the same, is still the same thing. So I'm going back to my slides because we have to be conscious of time. So you can input this to the print function, whether it is text, numbers, or even a variable. We can see that. Next things we want to talk about is the strings. Like you can see the print functions, we actually wrote this hello world and pass it into the function. So this hello world actually is a string. What is a string? This is a sequence of characters, letters, numbers, white spaces, or punctuations. It has to be enclosed by a quotation mark, like you see here. It can be double quotation marks, single quotation marks, and if it is a very long thing, you can include this backslash to take it to the next line. So we are going to talk about variables now. These variables, to actually show you why we need variables, I'm going to write a simple code here. Let me quickly write a short story here. Okay, so we say print. We are going to write strings, so I put that. So the first line to print says Dr. Jane is a researcher. Second line says she's 30 years old. Okay, and another print statement. Jane has published 101 journal articles. And the last one, let's say we print something like, as a 30-year-old, Jane is the youngest in the lab. So this is like a short story. When I quickly run this one, it will, it asks me to save. I forgot to save. So you can see the story has been outputted to the screen. I know some of you that are into, hard coding with the, complex programs, you think, but I'm using this just to explain a point. So you see, now this is okay, but what about if I want to change the name? I want to change Jane to maybe another name, and maybe they are not of the same age. I have to change in how many places? You see, here, I have to change in the Jane name is 1, 2. We have to change 3 actually. You have to change it in 3 times. What about if the story is 1,000 words length? You have to change the name a million times. It takes time. And I told you that is where the dry comes in. Do not repeat yourself. You are repeating yourself with these things. So to do that, we have to create a variable. Let's call it researcher name. Okay, then we define it as Jane. Can you see that? So now wherever we write Jane, now we can replace it with that name. Here I will just put researcher name. But actually, since this is a variable, it should not be in the quotation marks. So the quotation marks will now be doctor space. Then you have to add the plus sign. That is how you add a variable to a string. So now I change that. So I can now just quickly copy this to wherever Jane is written. So here I can remove this, then come here and add this. For the beginning, I don't need the plus sign. So here also there is, so after here I can put this and then put the plus sign. I'll replace Jane with the researcher name. Actually, I have to copy it again. I hope this little thing is clear. So here I need to enter this again. So now if I run the program again, it will output. Okay, so we got a little error somewhere. Let me check my brackets.
Yes.
I think I'm getting the error from this guy. Let's just remove it and see what will happen. What is wrong? I remove the other line so that we follow it line by line. So you can see here it is saying that the Jane plus research, it took the name from here and put it here. And you can see that Jane and is combined because I didn't put space here. So I can easily come here and actually, put it there. So I'm going to paste back this thing. So it seems I messed up on a few things there, but the point is that is why we need variables here. We can actually change the age and we can change the number of published articles, and then we can run this story for every other researcher. So that is the point that we need this, why we need the variables. So how many types of variable can we have? So you can see here we have, you can write a username to give it a name like future prop, user ID can be in numbers, verified, whether the account is verified or not, this is false. This is actually a kind of data type that is called a Boolean. It only has two values, which is true or false. We'll come to that later. So like the error we have there, like one is in syntax error. We have the invalid syntax. We have there are many types of errors that you can come across, and to fix each error, you have to look at the hint. Like this one is the same invalid syntax. If false is not equal true. So actually you are given two conditions for an if statement. So it gives you an error. This one also will look at each error as we come across it. So the next thing we are going to look at is the data type. The data type is, numbers and Booleans and all what have you are not the same. For example, for a text type, we have what you call str, which is the short for strings, which I have already shown you there. And we have the numeric types like integer, float, complex. We have sequence, list, tuple, which you can actually get the type of a particular variable. Let's say this one, they define x to be equals to 5. So if you print what is the type of x, it will actually give you the value. So I'm going to quickly try that for you to see. I'm going to delete this. I will just write here x equals to 5, then print type of x. So I save this, I run it. You can see the answer here is given class int, which means 5 is an integer. So how about if I make it to 5.0, okay, or 5.2, let's make it something like this. So I save, I run then it say class is float. So you can see the difference. Integer is a whole number, while float is it's a decimal number. Hold on, okay, actually the host kind of went offline for, I don't know what is happening. So anyway, we'll continue. He will send me a message, but he went offline. Okay, so these are integers. You can define integers for like students, 4, books, 1, broken chairs, -2 is still an integer. So first 0, your Humble credit is 2.5, your WeChat balance is 0.0, these are all non-integer values, which are called the float. If you go to floating point numbers, which are the floats, you can see you can have the value of pi to as long as you wish. The decimal points can be as long as you wish, though there is a cap, maybe I think 256 or so, I can't remember exactly. Though these are the float numbers. Then we have the Boolean, which are the true or false. It only has two values, like I said, like look at this one. It says print 10 greater than 9, the answer is true. 10 equals to 9 is false. I will quickly run this for you guys to see also. So I can say print 2 greater than 3 and save the file, run it. You can see the answer is false because 2 is definitely less than 3. But let me make this quickly 12. So the answer now will be true because 12 is greater than 3. So this kind of conditions are what we call the Boolean. So you can see here, they use the Boolean to give the value for the if statement. if B is greater than A, we can print B is greater than A. This is actually under controlled flow, which we will look at in the next few slides. There are some arithmetic expressions, like the ones you use on your daily calculations, like plus, minus, multiplication, division, and modulus, and power. So modulus is like new. I will just show you what is a modulus. Modulus actually give you the remainder. Like if you divide 10 by 3, let's come here. You can see some people will notice that I'm kind of rushing. They are saying that we almost exhausted our time. So for this, I will just do it here. Okay, I can say 10% 3. You can see the answer is 1. So what is happening here? Actually, is if you take 10 and divided it into 3, or you see how many times 3 goes into 10, it goes 3 times, and the remainder is 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1, you get back your 10. So it actually gives you the remainder. This comes in handy when you are writing some mathematical algorithms. This, remember the strings we discussed before. So how do we join one strings to another? So for this example, we have an example that says first name John, last name Doe, title doctor. So when we run a full name, we want to create a full name string, you can actually add this 3. So quickly, let's try that. Sorry guys, I need to reply to. Dr. Olainka, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I am trying to send you a message and it is saying you are offline. That is why I don't know.
I am very much online. But can you see my own message?
So yes, I've seen. I'm trying to reply by saying user is offline or something.
I'm online.
Okay. So actually, we are pressed for time right now. And to be clear, we are on, let me show you this. We are on slide 27 of 64 of this webinar. So it is actually long. I don't know what happened. Actually 1 hour, I don't think it will be enough for this.
Yeah.
So now it's up to you.
Yeah,
What do you think it will be?
I think, I don't know how it's going to be if people will be so patient if we can ask them maybe for another 20 more minutes and see how much you can be able to wrap up in the next 20 minutes. Please, ladies and gentlemen online, could you please allow Dr. Suleiman maybe give him a privilege of another 20 minutes to see if he can wrap up? Then after that, you can ask questions, please. Any response?
Yeah, Dr. Lanka, I have an opinion.
Okay.
I think from experience, I've observed that coding will be boring if elongated beyond, if stressed beyond what people can cope with. So I instead of that, I may suggest, if it's going to fall within the purview of your arrangements, that if the classes could be maybe twice in a week or morning, maybe in the morning, then probably in the evening.
Okay.
Like honestly, if I care is not taking, begin to see people exiting, and I've really experienced that. So I'm just trying to make that suggestion, sir.
Okay. Like you said, I understand too, but trying to break the classes maybe morning and afternoon, I think it depends on Dr. Suleiman himself, knowing fully well that we can't exhaust everything in one swoop. But the kind of response that I'm getting from here is that as many as I've seen about 20 responses here, they are saying, sure, allow, go ahead, and some other things. So I think Dr. Suleiman, because some people too will also want to also want to give them time for questioning, knowing fully well that we cannot even exhaust everything today. So we might have to like maybe schedule another time, for you possibly to continue, and maybe in one way or other give us another version of maybe Python. But for now, let me just give you the benefit of maybe another 15 minutes for you to be able to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, Thank you very much. You can continue.
Okay. So looking at this, I'll just quickly run this example for you guys to see. So we have, it's saying, first name is equals to, it's a string, right? So you have to use your quotation marks, John. So you go to last name. Remember, the readability of Python, you have to write these things so that people can understand. Don't go and use some abbreviations, If you use abbreviation, make sure it is a common use abbreviation so that you will not disappoint the creator of Python, because he do it so that people can read code and understand it. So make sure you actually follow the convention. Like if you are writing a 2-word letter, always use a underscore between, like full underscore name. Don't write it like just something like, let me just come here, full name. Somebody will not understand it clearly. And maybe full name is easy to understand, but other words, maybe in your field of research, will not be that, easily to understand. So now I have this, then I will write print. What do you have here? Print, let's print the full name. So now if I save this file, Control S and F5 to run, you see I made a mistake here. The error is saying full name is not defined. Actually, I'm trying to explain to you to use underscore, and I didn't use it myself. So I use underscore in defining the name here. Can you see it? And here, down here, I didn't use the underscore. So this one is not known to the system. So I have to insert it there, save, and run again. Now you see we have Dr. John Doe. But look at it. The John and the Doe are put together. So how do we insert a space? To insert a space, you come to in between these guys. You write another plus sign, then 2 quotation mark with the space in between them. So now when we run this, we have doctor and space. So we do the same thing here also. We go to here, we put plus, then 2 quotation marks, that is string, and just put a space between them. So you save, and now when you run, you see Dr. John Doe written clearly as you will see in any other document. So now we go back to our slide, and one thing we need to understand is the plus equals operator. The plus equals operator it actually saves you time. So in adding something that is the same, like I said, you don't repeat yourself in programming. So I'll quickly remove this. I will write that example. So we have count equals to 0, and this is counter there. Let me be consistent. Counter, let's start from the normal example, equals to counter plus, 10. So now I will print what? Counter. So I save this, I run the file. You can see the answer is 10 because we initialize the value is 0, then we call that value. So at this side, the value is 0 plus 10. So the answer will still be 10. So you see we have repeated counter here and counter here. So these guys think, okay, we can use the plus operator to reduce the amount of typing we will do. So counter now, the new counter will be plus equals to 10. What it's saying is that whatever the value of counter is, just add 10 to it. I don't need to write counter plus 10. So you have reduced some things here. I hope this method is clear. So now I will remove this line the one I said, counter plus 10, the longer line, I leave the shorter one. When I run the program, the answers will still be the same. So this is another thing of like drawing your code to avoid the repetition. Actually, apart from that, we can also add message. Like if you are getting input from a user to add to a message, let's say we have message, let's say equals to, what are we having here? I will just shorten it to save time. Part one. Okay, and we have message plus equals to part 2. Another quick click, like if I print this one, it will be part 1, part 2 together, but you can insert a space before you write the part so that when you print the message, it actually separated. So I can write print message now. So save and run. You can see part 1 space part 2. The space is actually coming from here because after the quotation marks, I leave a little space, which is another trick to get you as things to read clearly. So back to the slides, we have user input. Yeah, all we have to do is write the things into the computer ourselves. So how do we get it, from the user who is when you are running the program? So now to do that, I can quickly go here and I say, to get input, all you need to do is just write input, then you enter the prompt, what will be written there. Let's say, enter username. Okay, we have this. Now, close the bracket for the print function, okay? But we need to assign a value to this thing. So to assign a value, you just call this user underscore name. So this is the so I can print the name back, or I can do something cool with it. I will just say this hello, then plus the username variable that we just defined, then plus maybe an exclamation point to show that, hey, yeah. Remember, I have to insert some spaces after the hello so that it will not jump all together. We save it and we run. So now it is asking me, can you see it down here? It's saying enter username. So I would like to, let's put Dr. Olayinka's name here. Okay, then when I press enter, then something happens. I think we messed up something here, but let me run it again. Yeah, now it's running. Last time I didn't exit from the previous one. So you can see down here it has written hello. Let me bring it up so that you guys can see. I will clear the screen and run it again. So now I will enter the name. When I press enter, you can see the message. Yeah, hello, Olayinka, and an exclamation point. So this is how you get user input from user. One cool thing about input is whatever the input is, even if you enter a number, it will be converted to a string, which will get you in trouble. We'll see about that in the next things. So I will give you a short story to get you acquainted with what is function. Like, let's say every week you go to the shop to buy maybe a bread or milk, you keep doing it every day, or every week, or every day. So it becomes tiring. So what do you do about that? If you are maybe a robotics engineer, you can build a robot that you can always send to the market to go and buy bread or milk for you. So that robot that will do that thing for you is what we call like a function. It's something that will just do a specific task that you assign to it. Maybe you give it an input to give you an output back or something like that. So actually, since we start this lesson, we have been using a function. The friend is actually a function, but that is a built-in function. How do we define our own function? That is what we are going to look at now. So now, to define a function, actually you have to use this keyword, def. It stands for define function. So you start with def, then you give your function a name. Let's call this function, say hi, okay? Then you put two brackets, then you put a semicolon, then you come down. When you press enter, automatically it will not align it with the def, because Python, doesn't use curly braces as in other programming languages. It uses indentation, which we'll see in the next slide also. So what will happen here? I will write what will happen, what will the say hi function will do. Like you are tired of saying hi to everyone, so you want the program to do it for you. So we'll just say print, okay, hello from a function. That is cool. So that is all. Then we have to come down here and actually call the function. You have built the robot. Maybe the robot is in the garage waiting for you to send it to market. Now you have to call him to go to the, call it to go to the market. So to do that, you just write the name you've given to it. We give this one, say hi. So now I will just say hi, the same way you write it there. Okay, I will just, actually what I did here is actually wrong according to Python convention. You cannot use capital letter in it unless it is a class. So this is not a class, it's a function. So I will use underscore and hi here. So I save this, I click, you see it's written here, hello from a function. So this is how we actually call a function. Let's go back here. So yeah, calling functions, I already covered that. You just do it, write the name as it is, and then it comes. So we'll quickly create this, the other functions we do. So we can actually give an input to the function, because if you are sending your robot to buy bread, you got to give it some, money. So what we do here, you enter the name of the input. So here, let's say we give a name. So what are we going to do with the name in the function? So we can say hello, like the previous example. We just write name, then plus, we write the apostrophe there, okay? Give a space so that it will not all chunk up. But now, if I run the program like this, I will get an error. Yeah, you see, because when I was defining the function, we have a name, we have an input. So when you are running it here, there is no input. Then it will not run. So I come here, then I will just maybe quickly write my name. Okay, yes. So I will just, run the program now. You see, it give the output like that, whatever the input, you get the output. So this is hello, but the output is always to the screen. What about if I want to get something? Maybe the function is to do some calculation. You give the robot, 20 RMB to, buy you a milk of 10 RMB, then it has to give you some change, So the change actually can come within the keyword we call return. So to do that, I will do another example. Let me just come down here. Let me just clean this. So let's say depth. Let's call this function Q, okay? And it takes the value of numbers, number 1, number 2, and number 3. This is what are the inputs. You can have multiple inputs. Then we have num1, times norm. Actually, let's stick to the one number. We call it number 1. Okay, so to get the cube of the number, actually we have to multiply it by itself 3 times, right? So another norm 1. Keep your spaces so that it looks cool. Then we come here and we write cube. Let's say we put 3 so that we know the answer will be 9, But when we run this also, nothing is happening. Why? Because we are not collecting anything back from the program. So to do that, you can actually just write return this value. Or if you want to make your code, a little bit nice, we can remove the return here and call this result equals to this. Then we return the result. So this is another way. So for us to do this, we can say print whatever we have from cube of 3. So we save this and we run it. You can see 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. You can see the answer here. So this is a function that takes an argument. The input is called argument or parameter, or in other, just input. Some, if you are listening to other tutorials, they may confuse you, but it's all the same thing, what you give as input to the function. So back to our slides. Like I said, a function is indented in Python. So you can see in this example, we have this. When we come to the another for loop, we have to move inside to create another indentation. Because anything that is indented at the same line or position with the function, then it is outside the function. Like here, if I mistakenly remove my result back here, then I will get an error because the result is outside of the function. You see, expected and indented block. So it's actually helping me that I should move this guy in. Yeah, so I come and just move it in, and then the program will run smoothly. Yeah, so that is another thing. So there is local and global variables, like in this example, I will just use this one. The result, now if I come down here, I said print result. Okay, even though the result, let's just say like this, print result. If I run, I will get a problem. The problem with this is, you see, name result is not defined. It is saying this because the result is defined within the function, but outside the function, it's not defined. So you cannot call a function outside, you cannot call a variable outside of a function if you define it within a function. I hope I'm making myself clear. This time I read confusing. So to fix this problem now, what we'll do is we can actually take the print result inside this one. But it's not a good practice, but it's for you, just to, for you to get the idea. If I put the print result here, okay, then I have to delete these guys. They have no use now, okay? But there's still an error. I will show you why I did this so that when you have this problem, you can see there is nothing to be printed here. The reason is I write this function to be under the return. Anything after return doesn't get printed. So before you say return, you have to do whatever you want to do. Return should always be the last thing in a function. Sometimes we create our own problems just to show you so that when you come, you have the same problem, you will know. Now still, let's see. I run this one. You see still there is no output because result is actually a number. Let's print the type of result now so that we know what we are dealing with, right? And another thing is I have deleted the running the function. So I have to call cube and give it the number 3 again. So let's do it like this. You see, the class of result is integer. So the print can actually print an integer if it is alone. Okay, like this. If I run, it can print 27, I mean the, yeah. So how about if I add it to something? That is the problem I got from the Jane example before. So let's say I say the result as a string. The result is, then I add this like this. So run the program. You can see the error. Because the print, you cannot combine an integer with a string. Then how do we go around this problem? The easiest way is just you call a function which is str, which is, it converts anything you pass to it into a string, which is another function. So now you can see we have the result is 27, because the result, which is a number, has been converted into a string, which is a text. So now the print guy can print it because all it is text to him. He doesn't know how to add a number and a text. But when you convert everything to text, you can easily print it. I hope this makes sense, because there is no feedback. I'm just, okay. The next thing, how are we on time, Dr. Olainka?
I think your time is up, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think we stop here. This is an intersection where we can stop, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Amzad Suleiman Abdullahi, for the seminar. It was very exciting. With the PowerPoint and your articulation, we are very grateful for all that you've done so far. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Please, to all our audience and everybody that are present online, both here in China and any other parts of the world, please, if you have any question, like I've said, you should have posted the question to Dr. Suleiman for him to be able to answer any questions raised. Or possibly, if you've not done that, if you have any presently, please, you can just post it online so that Dr. Suleiman will be able to handle them. I will want to maybe give about maybe 10 minutes for any questions to be raised and to be answered by Dr. Suleiman. And I hope that since this is just the startup of the webinar on programming languages, we will have to look for another time, another convenient time, much more later, for us to be able to continue and also to do another programming language. Please, anybody with questions, please send your questions, using the discussion button, so that Dr. Amzad can be able to have access to them and answer them appropriately. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there are some people that posted questions when I was talking, but I can't seem to find it. If you can repost, that would be, yeah.
Okay, like he said, if you can repost your question, please do that as quickly as possible. If you cannot to send to him, you can send to the general house so that I can send down to him also. Thank you very much. Any question?
Dr. Anga, I have a question, but I don't really know, because I have to give an illustration. So I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
Easy work for me. Okay. Now, Dr. Hamza, great work. Honestly, you've really done you make this things so interesting. So please, my question is, I have been able to compare two environments. That's two Python environments, editor now. Now I've been able to compare, there's an environment called PyCharm, PyCham, RAM. Then this Anaconda.
Yes.
I have observed that there are little discrepancies. Like, for example, in Anaconda environments, if you want to, for example, the one of the examples you made, where if you write something like type, then you put integer. Okay, if you just run, it's going to show the type of the type of data like this, whether it is integer floating on anything. So, but if you do this same, if you write this same line of code in PyCharm, you observe that it's not, except you add print and you put inside bracket, it's not going to, give the result of the type of this thing it belongs to. So I want to ask, is it that there are certain environments that are not, that are not advisable to use for running Python programming? Like, I'm just trying to figure this out, and I'm yet to conclude on it.
Okay.
So, from your experience, please, can you give that?
I quickly want to ask you that is both are running the same Python 3, or the other one is running Python 2? Because that is another thing to look at.
Okay, it's version 3.8, 3.85.
On both the systems?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it's supposed to behave the same, because PyCharm is an IDE on itself, and Anaconda, in Anaconda, which of the IDEs do you use? Spider?
No, Jupyter Notebook.
Jupyter Notebook. Okay, that is where you have your thing. Jupyter, is web-based, and it actually, take input, because it uses the interpreter, the interactive thing. Like here, if I go to, let me see if I can do that. Like, look at my screen here. You said when you write like type of this, something like this, right?
Yes.
Like now you see it is this. So when you use directly use it into the console, you can get this, which is similar to Jupyter. But in PyCharm, I think, are you running a script? Or you are typing also into the interactive console?
Yes. I'm also typing into the interactive console.
Okay, then actually it's not supposed to be different, but maybe we can talk with you on another on this issue later. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other question from our audience? Any other question?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Solomon.
Please,
I want to know.
Sorry, please hold on. Somebody is trying to raise, prayer, Muslim prayer, whatever background there. Please.
You forgot. Can you meet them all? Meet them all. So that
I think he's praying, so there's no way he can interrupt his prayer to mute.
Yes, that's why I asked the host to mute.
I think
the manager can mute everybody or some people.
I think I'm finding that difficult here. I'm finding that difficult here to do so.
Okay, I can go on quickly and then we...
Okay, please do.
Let me do it.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah. Okay, then I will give it back to you. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, fine.
So who is asking the question? Let's continue.
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that I have experience in coding in R language.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know what do you advise me? I'm now a beginner in Python, and I'm trying to figure out how I can use my experience in R to quickly catch up things in Python.
Actually, R and Python, they do share similarities when in handling, data. Usually R is used for data analysis, and Python also, when you get the right modules for doing data analysis, it is also similar. But I think if you search online, you can find tutorials that are, directly for people coming from R. maybe you can search something, Python tutorial for R users, so that they will easily, show you that the print function in R and maybe the print function in this one, how they are different. So you can easily jump on it. There are these kind of things. If you are moving from C++ to Python, there are tutorials that are directly dedicated for this. I'm not sure whether it is available, but you can check.
Okay. I will search for that. Okay, thank you so much. I think it's a good beginning, and I'll continue following the other classes that will come. And yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, I have seen some questions back. I can scroll up. There is one is saying, I can't find those menus on my installed Python. Are you still there, Dr. Benjamin? I think he has left or something, yeah. So I don't know which menu he was speaking about. Then there is one who said, do you mean the Spider, Anaconda, Jupyter, etc.? I don't know what he was saying. And we are trying to answer the other guy. So yeah, we can go. Any other question?
Any other question, ladies and gentlemen? Dr. Suleiman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I want to say that if there's no other question, maybe we'll have to give a closing remark. And
the thing is, maybe they are trying to talk. You have muted them all. So maybe you try unmuting them before we,
No, I think you did the muting. Okay, let me.
Okay, let me unmute.
Okay. Of course, they can mute. They can unmute themselves. Hello.
Category Abe Baradamine.
Dr. Suleiman, please mute them all.
Yeah, anyone who want to talk can unmute himself.
Yeah. So let me use this this point in time to be able to to appreciate Dr. Suleiman Abdullahi for the wonderful presentation he had given us today on Python programming language. We want to thank you very much for your time, and we hope that whenever we need you, you will always be available to give us further further presentation on Python programming language and every other one. Thank you very much for coming, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Please, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we will have to bring this webinar to a close, and every other subsequent seminars, concerning Python programming language and every other programming language will always be, gotten across to us on all our general OAAD platforms. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a beautiful night. So thank you all.